Hello beautiful souls and welcome back to my channel. So this is your weekly reading, and this week we're going to look at what are you still set up to receive in love. So we're looking at which patterns are still there preventing you from receiving what you want, because love is everything, right? So before we start, as usual, I called in, well, I'm going to say you can't see it, but the unicorn, the diamond unicorn spritzer wanted to be a part of the party. So I'm spritzing my hand, I'm rubbing them as I usually do, smelling it deeply, and then fluffing my aura with all the goodness that this is, which is everything about how vast your power is, but also how gentle. So it allows you to go into those places that are painful, but very gently. And it can help with any sort of power struggle we seem to be caught in still. And it's really, it reminds us that love and compassion for yourself and everybody is usually the answer to everything. So let's bring all that goodness into the field with us. And I've also got my two big archangels here to guide us for clarity. And, the diamond unicorn's also for fun, because my inner child squeals when it sees the diamond unicorn. So, Spirit. So let's choose a card for my oracle deck. What are you still set up to receive in love? What are you still set up to receive in love? What are you still set up to receive in love? Okay, I have this one. This is something actually that's come up in the previous two readings, in the previous 2 weeks. Healing heartbreak. You're set up to be heartbroken. And I've talked a lot about this, so if you want to go back and listen to what I said, but let me bring in some light language and see if we can fine-tune this message a little bit. Kua sana usi utu ayata ayata uti kara uti titi yatana usi ayataya kushiti ayaya nuru uku ete ata harata Iasina ashishi. So what I get really, really strongly about this card is that we have, the collective we're listening to is like ready for heartbreak. And I can't say it any better than that, because it's like a learned response. And I've talked about that aspect in the previous readings. Like, we are so used to heartbreak that we expect nothing but heartbreak. So whatever relationship you enter in, that's going to be like at the forefront playing out. Like, it's like, when you're afraid of something, as soon as potentially it might show up, you're like, no fucking way, let me move out of this. It's the same thing, like, oh, here we go, another heartbreak. I'm just not even going to go there. So there's a part of you that you really need to look at and you really need to hone into, which is expecting heartbreak, and who thinks that love is actually heartbreak. And this is a very young part of you, and I'm even going to add another layer. It's actually a past life part of you. You incarnated with this deep, deep template of heartbreak. You, on some very, very deep level, don't believe that love doesn't come with heartbreak. It's like the core of love is about heartbreak. So past relationships, parents divorcing, relationships are just all about heartbreak. And so there's a part of you that just won't go there. So this reading is going to be about a big heart healing that's coming through the energy that I share with you. And then, I encourage you to go and look at my course, the TaA GeE aAwaAh bond course, because this is typically the kind of thing that gets worked on in there without you having to necessarily go through the heartbreak again. I said you're very attached to the heartbreak, you're very scared of the heartbreak, but you kind of assume that heartbreak is the only way. And so I feel like you even break your own heart. And as you know, this is the first card in my deck. Well, some of you might know. And so it's also the heartbreak of leaving your star families and incarnating on Earth, and that disconnection. I think the disconnection with our star families is actually a bigger wound than we actually think. So lots of layers here to explore, but at a purely human level, it's time to let go of this heartbreak pattern. And I'm not saying you're never going to be heartbroken, but for this particular collective, the heartbreak pattern it kind of defines all your relationships. It's like the basis of your relationship. I don't know if that very first one just cracked that heartbreak open, but it's like, fuck no. And there's another collective out there, and I'm going to say it's another timeline, right? Where people's first relationships were really good, and then just love dissipated and moved on to something else. People outgrew each other, but it was like it doesn't need, it was like a peaceful process. Okay, we don't love each other, and that happens, let's just move on. But your collective, like that first relationship just kind of tore you apart in a way that resonated with, I'm going to say, your star family wound, but also a lot of past life wounds around love. So it's great. This is awesome. This card, the symbol, and remember, you can always use the symbols to help you work through whatever you're working, is about healing heartbreak, but it's also about stepping into a new experience of love, how you give and receive love. And for this collective, definitely how you receive love. Like, you can stop receiving the heartbreak. I know that the other thing that's coming in, and I am going to say it, we say that we can only love when our heart is broken. And I'd like to fine tune that a little bit. I think what happens is when our heart breaks, we experience the pain that's associated with love. And so it makes us love more carefully, more compassionately. You know how much it can hurt. And so on some level, you could make that decision to stop hurting people. And so what that does is it opens up your heart to more love. I know how precious love is, and I'm going to be very mindful and careful about who I share it with, but also how I treat other people. So there's all that in there. Okay, let's see if we can get more information. What are you still set up to receive in love right now? What are you set up to receive in love? What are you set up to receive in love? Okay, this one wants to come out. We got that card last week. Faith, I think. Or the week before. Faith is how we're supposed to live our life. Not understanding the full picture. Not knowing more than the next step. And trusting that there's a benevolent force behind everything that's orchestrating for our highest good. And here's the thing, when you're heartbroken and you keep breaking your own heart by choosing situations that you know will break your heart and that you expect to break your heart, how can you have faith? What if this here, this pointer here, this faith card is about, well, what if it's all happening for my highest good? Like, what if that first relationship that was so painful, what if it was just showing me that the version I carried of love was just not right? That it was a travesty, that you were selling yourself short. And even if you bonded very deeply on a soul level with that person, that they weren't for you. And so it wasn't a failure. It actually was, I always say this, a redirection and a protection. But the experience was lived as this big, big heartbreak that still sticks. It's this teen energy that I still really pick up on in there. This teen energy where it felt like you opened up so much and then you landed flat on your face in so much pain. And it took you a long time to work through that. That's the energy that comes out. So if you don't resonate with it this lifetime, think of it as a past life issue. It definitely is in your field. So faith, returning to faith in love. And redefining, I think, what love really is. And long-term commitment to. There's something about, in this collective, I have to tell you, there's something about the unsexiness of long-term commitment that's coming through also in this card as I'm talking to you. Like, I think the media shows us that everything should be perfect, like always good, high frequency all the time. And I think actually that this is my personal experience, but it's also what I've observed in You know, my parents have been married over 50 years. My grandparents on both sides were married 75, 80 years. And I saw a lot of love and respect in the small moments, the quiet moments. And I say that I get really touched, like it really touches my heart. The moments where we're sick, the moments where we're not at our best, the moments that suck actually are actually the moments where there's the most love that can move through in a relationship. So I just wanted to share that because it does come through as I'm talking. And you know, the faith piece is really trusting that there is something for you, and that you have to stop interfering with what's coming for you. You know, you expect that heartbreak so much that in a way you either break your heart by choosing the wrong people, or you break your heart by not allowing yourself to receive the love that you deserve and that's totally worthy for you. Okay, let's pull one more card from my deck. Okay, what are you still set up for in love? Accountability. So again, if you know my deck, this is the card of power, because when you're accountable for what you bring into your life, you claim your power back and you step into self-authority. So what I'm going to say is, for a lot of you, this comes so that this heartbreak triggers a huge loss of power, because your power is based on love and loving, giving love, definitely, but receiving love probably a little bit more tricky. So the card of accountability, this is what I'm talking about, is stop breaking your own heart and stop choosing situations that break your heart, and step into a new template of what love could be, and what receiving and giving love could be about. Because you'll keep repeating this old soul template that I think you know by heart pretty much at this point in time. And you're not being accountable. It's like it's a gone, or like a foregone conclusion is the word I'm looking for. Like you just assume that it's just not on the cards for you, so you keep breaking your heart. And what I want to tell you is, no, this is just an old soul template that's playing out to death, and that you can get to choose and move into something else right now. You know, energetically, you're available for something else. And it comes with accountability. I'm done. I'm complete. I have learned my lesson. Whatever this soul template that I own and live, I have completed beyond. You know, I'm actually an expert now in heartbreak. And my soul has learned everything it needs to learn. And now it's time for me to move on and embody a new soul template. So this is the accountability part. I'm complete. This is done. We're moving on. And I am moving on because this is over. I've had these moments in my life where I've allowed somebody to mistreat me because it's really about my boundaries. And then I wake up in the middle of like, and I'm done. This is complete. Thank you, God. I'm giving it back to you because you know what? This is complete. So show me what else is available for me. So this is the accountability piece. People, this collective, you need to be accountable. It is complete. This is done. This soul template of heartbreak is over for you. And it's really time for you to move into and step into a whole new soul template that has a whole new version of love available for you. As ukushu, nanaku, asa, ashi, uti, aya, uaseneke tu shikara itata, nananana kushi, asi atua. Okay, let's bring in a few tea leaves. Okay, what is still set up for me in love? Well, we have the month of June. Look at that. Another archangel. Look at those big wings. So, June babies, this one's for you. And if you're not a June baby, let's see what happens in June. I feel like there might be a big piece for you in June landing. So that feels exciting because that's not far away. Okay, we have this one that jumped out. Okay, be mindful. We have an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross coming into your life, or who's feels like a bully, really. That's all I would. Stay away from the bully. Stay away from the bully. You're done with the bully. The heartbreak is over. Step into a different form of love, an expanded way of living and loving. Okay, let's just get one more. And look at our final card. Success assured with good plans and hard work. You know, I feel like you're done, guys. This is it. You're moving into a whole new expression of what it is to love and be loved. And how exciting is that? Because you have success coming in. I love that. So as I mentioned early on, and I'm going to mention it because I feel it really strongly, if you're ready to move on from this soul template of love and of heartbreak that you've been carrying and moving through, and you've learned everything you need to learn, it feels really complete to me. You know, go to the link in the description and look at the TaA GeE aAwaAh bond, which is an updated soul template. It's a soul technology that allows you to step into a new soul template and let go of these old soul templates that are completely outdated. So, and it can be used for anything and everything, not only love. So I hope that helps, and I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful week full of giving, and so I'm going to say full of reciprocal love for all this collective. And don't forget, you know, you're the accountability piece. This is your power. You know, stop giving away your power by believing that nothing else is possible. You get to change that. Namaste.